Hey guys, it's Pastor Bruce. I've never been in a shipwreck. Closest I came was being in a leaky little boat out on the Chesapeake Bay with a big storm approaching. That was close enough for me. Acts chapter 27 records Paul's experience in a real shipwreck on the Mediterranean Sea. And within the verses of this chapter, we see 5 lessons that work for you and I whether we're on a ship or whether we never leave dry ground. The first lesson is people may not listen to you at first. They had begun the journey and it was tough. This was a bad time of the year to be on the Mediterranean, and Paul warned the centurion Julius, who was responsible for him, as well as the people who were running the ship, that this journey was going to end in disaster. But it's likely they wanted one more run before winter, and so Paul was overruled. They continued on out into the sea, and after they had been beaten by the wind and the waves for a number of days, the ship was more or less stranded out there. We see the second lesson. Be ready when you're given the opportunity. Paul was allowed to stand and he said, "Men, you should have listened to me," but it wasn't an "I told you so" sort of comment. Instead, Paul made a bold proclamation of his faith in God and that God's will would be completed. Paul was to go to Caesar and God would make sure that it was true. They sailed along a bit further and they ended up dropping anchor off the island of Malta. The sailors gave the impression that they were shoring up the ship, but in reality they were preparing to abandon the ship. And this leads to the third lesson. Be willing to challenge sin. Paul saw and discerned what they were doing, and he reported it to Julius and to the soldiers. And he told them, if you want these people to be saved, these men have to get back on the ship. It was an all or none proposition, and so they were brought back on the ship for the greater good. Paul then encouraged everyone to take some food. This is the fourth lesson. Demonstrate your faith boldly. He told them, we're going to be saved. Eat some food. Be ready for the deliverance that the Lord is going to give. He thanked the Lord for the food, and all were encouraged. The ship began to break up in the rocks, and this gives us our fifth lesson. Our obedience to God can positively affect others. As the ship was breaking up there in the waves, everyone jumped off to save themselves, and the soldiers were going to kill the prisoners so that none would escape. But Paul had become very valuable to Julius, and so Julius said, don't kill them because I want to keep this man alive. Paul's faithfulness had saved not only the sailors and the soldiers, but the prisoners as well, and in the end all 276 were saved. God bless you as you go.